Hello, welcome to the 11th episode of my podcast, Open Conversations. I'm your host, Bella. I'm here with a special guest today, college mate and friend Spencer. I'd like to proceed to just explain to the audience who you are and everything that you're about.
Yeah, so I guess Bell and I go way back to playing spades
Yes,
and acres,
yeah,
and
yes,
all like the other like Nigerians and Detroiters, all like in one, and just that cultural
yes,
blitz,
sir.
like
Yes, it
the
was.
DMV influence, all the shit talk, everything. Like that was the
Mm-hmm.
place to be, was acres downstairs in the little lobby. But
Yep,
about my
acres.
Yeah, but about myself is just Bella and I go way back with Acres, and then I worked in sports, and Bella was on a basketball team for a little bit, so that was kind of how we kind of got clicked up, and obviously all the people we were around were like sports,
Mm-hmm.
so nice having like that barbershop talk all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So what's been
Most
up?
definitely, man. Always appreciate you coming. Man, it's been, grinding, man, trying to enjoy life and, just trying to just continue growing and evolving, man. That's what it's about, man. And that's just really been the name of the game, man. Just continuing to learn and evolve and stuff, man. Yeah.
No, I'm there with
We're about to get right into we're about to get right into our first uh topic of the episode. Is college a scam? And I think this
you.
is
Yeah.
somewhat universal topic for a lot of people. And so I'll let you take the floor first and give your opinion, then I'll give my 2 cents.
For sure. So yeah, I guess the short answer is yes, where obviously like what I do now, I probably didn't need to go to college, but college, it's not it's a scam and it isn't, where it's a scam in the sense you're scamming yourself if you think you're just going to go to college, get a degree and just get a job. Like you still need to apply yourself within college, right? Like you can't just do the book work. It's all about the resume. Like ace in a test, you're not going to put that on your
Mm-hmm.
resume, right? So
Mm-mm.
like
Mm-mm.
the older I've gotten, I've been kind of not against the idea of college, but it's not the end all be all. Like, yeah, if you're trying to be a doctor, lawyer, you have to go to college and you should have to go to college for however long it takes to get your certification and your law degree, medical
Mm-hmm.
degree, whatever, any of that. Like, yeah, that's fine. But for certain things, you really don't need college. Like, you can learn anything on YouTube for the most part. Like, you can be a great video editor on YouTube, any of that stuff. But like, it all really depends. Like, it is a scam in the sense, like, the colleges and all the higher ups at the university treat it like a business, but at the same token, it's partially on you to kind of, make the most of it.
Oh yeah, most definitely, most definitely. I think I made the most of my cosplay. What do you think? Think you made the
Oh
most
yeah,
of it?
of
Yeah,
course,
yeah,
man. Like it's like that nice
yeah,
blend. It's like that
yeah,
nice the social part is that's like the unteachable thing. Like that's the
yeah,
big
yeah,
thing is
yeah.
people you're gonna meet people from everywhere. Like you're gonna meet like some
Hmm.
Russian people, you're gonna meet some Asian people. Like I had Chinese roommates my first 2 years
I
of my
remember.
college.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
like
yeah,
they were
yeah,
really
yeah.
cool, and it's like a cool like culture shock, and just like learning about the DMV and all that stuff, phone
Right.
posit, like
Yeah, yeah,
all
yeah,
that stuff,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
just like the different subcultures within our country, besides just northern culture, southern culture, western culture, like all that stuff. You get the specifics of it.
Yeah, most definitely. I definitely think that um when it comes to college, uh having like to me when like um what the most value that you get, especially from college, the relationships. I think for me myself, I think that's the not to say that I didn't. Obviously, I have someone like yourself who I still have, we connect with but
Of course.
even more so of an emphasis on like building like valuable relationships while you're there, so that when you get out in the corporate level and system, you still have, y'all still working together and doing stuff and like connecting and stuff. You know what I mean? Like that's really, the networking aspect of it. People talk about how, the importance of the whole networking aspect, but really in terms of how you can, have people who are in certain fields who can who specialize in certain fields, and that can, if you maintain that relationship and what you got going on, they can help with that. You know what I'm saying? Um,
100.
you know what I mean? And so, uh, you know, for me, I don't think um, college is per se a scam. I think that where I think people can kind of get that kind of uh, feeling towards it being a scam is not necessarily knowing the entails of how college was gonna play a part into the next level of life. You know what I mean? The corporate and building your own lifestyle. You know what I mean? I don't think that was too much of a emphasis. You know what I mean? The main emphasis primarily, and I can say that sold is, to get an education and get a good job, right?
Yeah.
That's the primary sell for college. You know what I mean? And so, um, like you had pointed out, if you want to have a career in certain professions, doctor, lawyer, type of thing, it's necessary where you have to get education at a college. You know what I'm saying? College institution. You gotta go to college. You know what I mean? But
Mm.
if you're somebody who wants to hypothetically, you have some sort of like entrepreneurial career or something like that, you want to do some business, whatever, hypothetically, college may not be the place for you. You know what I mean? It'd be better to just get that experience, just doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Rather
and
than
where I feel like the scam part of it is, you might be qualified and not have a degree, but an employer is going to be like, oh, he didn't graduate college, so he must not be that good at what he does. Where
mhm,
there are people that didn't go to college that can make a movie off an iPhone. And Anderson Paak, he
yeah,
made he made an album on GarageBand, which is installed on every MacBook when you get it. And it's just
hmm,
crazy what you do and don't need, like, to be successful. Like, you don't need as much as you think. And college is one of those things where it's not for everybody, but it's for some.
hmm,
Like, that's the
yeah,
only way to get to where you need to be as an adult is college, but it's not the end all be all, I would say.
not at all. It comes to a major aspect of self awareness. You know what I mean? Like you have to have that self awareness in terms of what exactly you want to do with your life long term. But let's be honest, no 17-year-old, 18-year-old really has a real idea of what exactly they want to do long term. I mean, I'm talking about 20, 30 years from now. You know what I mean? Like you're still
Yeah.
doing this profession. Like nobody's thinking like that. I know for sure I wasn't thinking like that you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
that long term, you know what I mean? I was not thinking like that. You
Well,
know what
also,
I mean? So
look at hoopers like yourself, right? Where all of them think they're going to go to the league, where it's like
go
that's
pro, right? Yeah.
yeah, like it's like, all right, like I just need to hoop, 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 and I'll get drafted or I'll get
Yeah.
signed to the G League, like
Yeah.
whatever. There's so many scenarios that could play out where, and now we're kind of seeing that with college athletes like Greg Olson. He's only a few years away from playing, and he's already one of the best broadcasters, but he had already been doing stuff behind the scenes where he's thinking about that next step. Because a lot of these guys, like athletes, they don't know how to
Not thinking
handle
that
something
far.
they've done their entire life. Like you got to learn,
Yeah.
you got to start a new life over, and like some of them aren't ready for that, but still want to be part of the game. So it's
Mm-mm.
just like finding that
Yeah.
balance.
Exactly. Exactly. And it can be very challenging, man. Speaking, myself and seeing other athletes and, how guys transitioning after, their collegiate careers and something that you've been doing your entire life. And it's now like you didn't necessarily make it to that level. Now it's about figuring out what else do I do good? What else? How else can I contribute? What's my purpose? And that's hard, man, especially for a lot of guys who their entire life. There's some people entire life it was like you're going to the NFL, you're going to the NBA, and unfortunately for whatever reason that didn't happen. And now it's like life still keeps going. You gotta figure out where you want to go with your life. You know what I'm saying? And that's not no easy thing. So I definitely relate to that a whole lot, man. And
Yeah, and you look at someone who went to Demanta, like Darian Harris, like he was a stud
yeah,
at Michigan State, tried the Canadian
mm-hmm.
Football League, was on like the
At the
practice
man,
squad at Bengals, yeah, and did
mm-hmm.
everything, like played it out, then was like, all right, the calls stopped calling, the calls, people stopped calling for you, then you're like, all right, like what's next? And he utilized one of like the principles you learn in college about like networking. It's like he had such a good track record with the football team and everything. It's like, all right, like we'll find some for
Mm-hmm.
you, like using his strengths as like a
Mm-hmm.
networker and him where he is at the age he can relate to some of the younger players a little more than D'Antonio can, and just kind of knowing what attracts the
Mm-hmm.
kids to MSU to just get their eyeballs on East Lansing, and just where like he's definitely one of the success stories of figuring it out post NFL. Which, just talking to the guy, he was like one of the smart guys that knew, all right, like what's Plan B? Like obviously we want Plan A, but if we have to go to Plan B, we have to have an idea of what that is.
Exactly, man. And that's a good example of somebody who knew how to make that pivot. You know what I mean? It's like I would like to say, you know what I mean? And Darian's always been intelligent, even going back to the Mather days. He was always somebody who was not only a good athlete, but he was a good in academics. So
Mm-hmm.
he's well spoken dude, and you obviously see how he has transitioned. Seeing, obviously things didn't necessarily quite go exactly how he had maybe anticipated. Nonetheless, he got the experience. He did some time, like you said, Canadian with the Bengals and NFL and stuff
Yeah,
like
he left
that.
it all out there. He left it all out there.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah,
everything
yeah.
left, he was like, "Hey, like it's my time," and like, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure some of these, with athletes, some of them are self-aware to know it's like, "Hey, I'm a little undersized, so I got to work extra hard to get a look," you know. But like he was self-aware to know like this maybe likely isn't my primary going to be my primary job going forward. So, but now he's in a
Mm-hmm.
position where he can still utilize his football knowledge and just all the experience he's gained, being a
Mm-hmm.
being a collegiate athlete at the D1 program, and just like making it easier for the next generation, the next class of kids. And, having someone like that at the helm is beneficial to the university for sure. And to himself, more importantly.
Most definitely. All in all, I would definitely say when it comes to this topic, gist of it, for anyone who wants to go to college, make sure that you not only want to you not only need to know what you want to do while you're in college, but have an idea of where what you want to do in college is gonna help you when you get out. So
100%.
make sure that connects. If it doesn't connect, then you don't need to go to college, man. And yeah, obviously, um, everything doesn't necessarily turn out the way you want it. Specifically, you know, even if you're a college athlete. But like I said, it goes back to having options and having an understanding of yourself and knowing what else you can do well outside of just from athletic perspective or position.
100%.
So, you have anything else to add?
No, like
Uh,
that pretty much sums it
for
up.
sure.
Like
About to
it's
go to
never
the
going to be.
next topic. Yeah.
Oh no, you're good. You're good.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was
Okay.
just going to say, like, you
Yeah. Yeah.
covered
Yeah.
it all.
Okay. So, next. Hmm. For sure. So next topic. What's your favorite college rivalry?
Probably in football, it's got to be Michigan, Michigan State. And I know that's biased, but the amount of shit talk that happens when nothing's going on in June, like they're talking about last year's game, they're talking about 2 years ago's game, they're talking about the time. Shit, they still talk about the punt. They still talk about
Yeah,
that every
that's my most memorable game. MSU
yeah,
Michigan game. That block punt game. That was
yeah.
legendary.
Like it's like that kind of
Very
stuff that
legendary.
kind of gets you into the rivalry where like that's the crazy thing about rivalries is the most improbable thing can happen. We've seen that at Auburn, Alabama. Like we've seen that, with the Stanford and California back in the 80s. Like the craziest thing happens in rivalries, but I got to keep it a little biased with Michigan, Michigan State. But in
But
basketball, obviously Duke, North Carolina, just because of, how the history behind it. And obviously we've seen recently UNC was crushing Coach K's dreams last year on his last year. So there's all of that. But yeah, it's just one of those where everyone comes to play. Like, yeah, and I remember, on the basketball side of Michigan, Michigan State, where we were beating Michigan by like 30 points and they just threw all the white boys in, like that's when like when you beat the ass of the rival, that's a good feeling too. Like as much as we love the
mhm.
close ones and the improbable ones, the ass tappers are nice too. You don't have to. You can
Yeah,
just relax and just watch it
yeah,
happen.
yeah, man. You took the words out my mouth, man. Obviously the MSU and the U of M. That's all time. That should be just not just in a specific sport, but just in all sports. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But to be specific to answer the question, to your point, I had the same thing in terms of UNC Duke. That's my favorite college rivalry. Like always, I feel like there's always like some sort of magical moment when those two teams play in terms of college basketball, and there's so much history behind it. There's always like so much like energy, and I'm always been like I grew up watching like college basketball and stuff, and always like when they have like the college game day,
Yeah.
it's always like it's always crazy. So and then the games is always crazy, and everything. So there, that's probably my favorite college rivalry. Yeah, 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 yeah. Next topic. Uh, what made you pick MSU for college?
So this was actually an easy decision because I was applying just to all the schools in Michigan, like Eastern, Western, Central, Michigan State, Michigan. I didn't get into Michigan, but that's not like I knew I wasn't like I would have gone to Michigan if I want to be like a doctor or a lawyer or a businessman. Like that's the place to go, but
Hmm.
that wasn't my intentions. And I think it was between Michigan State and Central because they both had good like broadcasting programs. And I picked MSU because I'm not about to watch MAC football for 4 years. Like I don't want to watch, you know, the non-power five schools for 4 years. I'd rather like, yeah, even if MSU happened to have like its best run while we were there on football and
Hmm.
basketball. Um, But yeah, like I'm glad I was a part of it and able to watch it. But I've thought, if you go to Michigan State, let's say the team isn't that great, like you still see other top tier programs. Like I remember watching when I was working the Michigan Ohio State game, and my buddy and I were on the sidelines, and Cordero Jones is throwing the football. I had no idea who this guy was, and I was like, "Why is this tight end throwing the football around?" And my buddy's like, "No, that's
Mm-hmm.
a quarterback." I'm just like, "What?" Like he's like
Yeah.
6'5", 230. I'm just like,
Just
man,
huge. Yeah.
you're not gonna find those at Central Michigan. You're not gonna find those at Western. Like that
Not at
was like a
all.
big shock for me too. Just like the athleticism difference between, like the
The
top guy in
different
your
levels.
house. Yeah, the pond gets smaller.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. So I for myself, it was between MSU and Howard University in DC.
HBCU,
Huh?
the HBCU.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Nice.
yeah, yeah. That was like my final two, and so I to I went to state for a visit. I think it was like January or February, and I was just like, yeah, I could see myself here. You know what I'm saying? I went to Brody, and I was like, yo, if this is how they eat every day. I'm like, I'm
Yeah, the
like,
Brody.
all
Yeah.
right, I could be here. I went to Brody. I was like, yo, if this is how they eat here every day, man, I could do this. You know what I mean? And fortunately, my parents helped make that happen, man. And definitely one of the decisions, man, of my life going to MSU, man. And I had experience, had some ups and downs, man. But all in all, it was a great experience, man. I wouldn't
10 out
have,
of
you know,
10 out of 10.
yeah, I wouldn't have traded. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was a hell of an experience, man. And I thought that the campus was dope. I really liked the campus. Um, the atmosphere, you know East, it's East, like East Lansing's a college town. It's
College
fit. It's all, yeah, and it's just like MSU is like the focus. You know what I mean? Like there's really no other. You know what I mean? Like in a lot of some other other schools, they have like pros around them. You know what I mean? Like maybe an NBA or NFL team or something like that. That kind of like gets the attention, or maybe, you know what I mean? But like with East Lansing, it's just Michigan State. Everything is just Michigan State. You know what I'm
Nope,
saying? And
not
so
competing with anything.
I like. You said what?
You're not competing with anything. It's just Michigan State all
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. We're on our own island, and I kind of like that. You know what I mean? I like that. It was just kind of you just kind of for ourselves. So yeah, man, it was a great decision. Obviously, you know, like we both in agreement to that, man. Agreement
100%.
to that. So next topic. Should college athletes pay?
Oh, I've always
What's
been
what's
yes
your
on this. I've
opinion?
always been yes on this since probably I remember having a conversation with my brother when they took Reggie's Heisman, like when he was dealing with all that stuff. My brother's like, "Oh, he shouldn't have played, like he was getting money," but it's like that does not mean he's hitting them he's hitting those holes different because he's got a little bread on him. Like he's still Reggie Bush,
Mm-hmm.
like he's still the same player and all this back and forth. But the way I've always looked at it is if you take away the obligation to go to classes for a D1 athlete, like what's the difference between that and a professional athlete, And like not only that, um like the D1 program, you can't take all the classes you want to take if it interferes with practice. Like that's just not
Yeah.
like
Mm-hmm.
if your major is on practice days, you're probably not doing that major, you know, and just like talking to guys in the football team, uh, you're like limited in a way, and because like you can't, not too many guys go there for pre med, it can be done, but it's a
No,
little tough. You have to just like puzzle fit, and also
I
like
wouldn't
the
recommend it.
idea. Yeah, exactly. Like you got to wake up at like 6 a.m. to work and everything, then take an exam, all this other stuff, and it's like you're not even guaranteed playtime after that. Like, and you're
Hmm.
not allowed to work. You can't have a job during the season, and I don't know, like the whole idea of student athlete, like student comes first, like that's wrong because, and I'm sure you know this, those 9 o'clock games you got to study. It's like tough shit. Sorry, like so I've always been pro athletes
It's
getting paid, and I'm glad they can with the NIL stuff. Like, I just don't think the schools should like bid for a guy. The guy should just pick his school, and however much money he makes off of endorsement deals, Gatorade deals, whatever, like let him do it. That's the way I see it. Like,
hmm
it is a free market, but
yeah,
the
yeah,
courting process needs to be more like ethical. Like that's my thing is just like let them pick on their own. Don't influence their decision. Just put that kid in the best scenario for your program because you don't want a guy transferring after a year. Like I get it. It's a
mm
business. It's a business for both ends now.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think that's the thing. Sometimes, as the student, you don't even view it from that perspective. You just think that you come in there to just play ball, and no, it's a business. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's a business. It's a way of how things work and all of that. And like I said, to your point, I definitely agree. College athletes should get paid, particularly the high major D1 athletes. In these type of schools like a Michigan State, for example, um, there should be some sort of like guys get stipends and stuff, but it's not a
Yeah.
real. You know what I mean? It should be like an employee where you're getting weekly or bi-weekly kind of like payments of some sort, because the fact of the matter is when you're talking about these major schools like a Michigan State, a USC, or these big time 5-star recruit athletes who get recruited to come play there, in reality, they're the attraction for the school primarily.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? These guys come here, bring their talents. You know what I mean? It brings the attention. It got people come watch to see these guys play. You know what I mean? And um, the amount of money that these kids, you know, not kids but young adults, come and they bring for these schools. I mean, it's tenfold. You know what I mean? When you have a number one recruit come to your college program to come
Well,
play whatever sport, whatever.
the way LSU used Ben Simmons, right? Like before he even stepped on campus, they had tickets with his face on them already. Like there was a big
Mm-hmm.
market thing, and he never saw a dime. And
Didn't
he
see a
does,
dollar.
yeah, didn't see a dollar. Like I'm sure there was probably some under the table stuff because that's just
Yeah,
how it
that's
is.
just how the game. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's just how it is. But like, and
Mm-hmm.
he treated it as that. He's like, hey, I'm only here for a year. I'm not trying to be on the dean's list or anything. Like I'm a hooper.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
hoop, and I think that's what the colleges need to understand. Like, if you're that one in like, all right, you go to Kentucky, right? You're a one and done, and you're playing for Coach Cal. They need like a separate curriculum for guys like that, right? Where it's like, hey, we know you're going to be out of here after a year. You're probably going to go top 5, top 10 overall. So let's prepare you for being a professional
For
athlete. There's
that
no
level, that's exactly. See,
like, they
that's
don't need to put you to like ace a test. It's like, hey, learn how to talk to the media, like be like more articulate, have good answers. Granted, like the coaches train them up just to not say anything, like
hmm
obviously you probably
see,
have a but go on though. Go on.
yeah, like the college level should be in preparation because the truth, this is a preparation for the pro level.
And no matter what you
It's
do, whether you're trying to be a
it,
chemist or what, they're
yeah,
preparing you to be a chemist.
they're
All
preparing you
right,
for the next level.
yeah, like if I'm gonna be here, because like the last thing you want to do is make them take classes they don't give a shit about, and they're not gonna go to class if there's no incentive to go to class. Like if I
Hmm.
don't go to this class, I'm still going for 20 and 10 on Thursday against whatever school. Like,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
'cause to
And
me, like it just mocks the education system. If you're trying to convince me that Ben Simmons came to you because of the academics first, like that's a lie. That's a
yeah,
straight up lie. Like he went because that's where he wanted to go, and he
yeah.
wanted to just go somewhere where he'd get a lot of play time, and and there's no other alternative. The G League stuff wasn't available to him then. Like the
Mm-mm.
college basketball. I think only Brandon Jennings is like one of the guys
Yeah.
that went to Europe
Get
after
the
back. But it's like, why would you like going to Europe seems like a lot. You got to learn another language. You're getting yelled at in another language, all this other stuff. Like it makes more
the
sense.
environment.
Yeah, it makes more sense to have a curriculum for top athletes. Like, yeah, it should be for everyone. Like, but if you got that guy, especially for college basketball, where the one and done rule applies. If you got that guy that is not going to be there, like just do something separate for him just to keep him eligible and to keep his focus. Like I'm
I
still
like
surprised
I
Miles Bridges stayed a second year. Like
he
props
loved
to
it.
him.
He just loved the campus. He loved. He just. I know
Oh
he
yeah,
loved
a big
the.
man on campus, like
He
that's a
loved the vibe.
huge benefit too. Yeah, there's no question.
Yeah.
And like obviously he missed out on the NIL money, but like he would have made a bag if the NIL was there and he stayed another year.
Man, like, from my experience, obviously being on the MH team, man, yo, being on the team, like people always like, it's always fun. Like people always like to say, like, oh, you're an athlete, you get all these benefits, you're like, yo, the time that is put into
That's a
preparing
full-time
every
job.
day,
I
it's a
don't care what
full
anyone
time job.
says.
It's a
Full-time job.
full time job, man. Yo, I mean, I remember we would have maybe a walkthrough in the morning. You know what I mean? Then, maybe you go after that, go for a couple classes. Then you have to come back, watch film, walk through again, have practice, then, chill out, then come, back for film. And that's a whole, how much time that's a whole day.
Yes.
That's more than a day's job. That's like
Yeah.
more than, you know what I mean? And
And you
on
can't
top
and
of
you
the
can't
fact
just
that
skip it. You can't just skip it either. It's not like,
nah,
I'll watch film later. It's like, no, like, and I'm not like knocking coaches for this, but like that gets held against you. Like if you miss a practice or like you miss a film session, like you have to really be on top of things because if you're not at film,
yeah.
coach is going to trust you because it's like, oh, he hasn't been watching film. He doesn't know what to do out there. Like one
Mm-mm.
little mess up is like bigger than scoring 30 points in practice or whatever, or doing everything right in practice. I feel like with professional sports and just sports in general, because the margins of victory are so small, like the bad almost outweighs the good sometimes. You're like, all right, yeah, you went for 30, but you had 7 turnovers, and you had 4 of them in the fourth
Mm-hmm.
quarter, or second half or whatever. So it's like that alone, the time commitment that you talk about alone, because like you can't, it's not like you can have your
Telling you.
own job. You can't have another job. You
No.
can't
The
earn on the
time,
side.
like,
And
it
all
is,
that for what? A few Michigan State tracksuits, like like that. Some
it's the
like
time
yeah,
commitment is crazy. You
100%.
know
Like the
what I mean?
perks are nice, but yeah, but like
Yeah.
the time, it doesn't. Not to say that it's not worth it, but it's like not worth it financially in a sense.
If you're not getting any kind of money from it, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like obviously you see at the next level you get paid for your time. Your time you put in, you getting paid. You got to get paid for that. So
Like I said at the
you know,
beginning, like I said in the beginning, like the difference between a professional athlete and college athletes are the classes. Like you take away the classes, it's the same schedule professional athlete. You're in the facility, watching film, working out, doing your treatment, whatever. Like you are
Exactly.
there, and like
Without
that's
the
how it is.
schooling.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, yeah,
And
there are
and
perks of like the tutors and everything, but like their job is to keep you guys eligible the best they can. Like that's it. It's like, hey, as long as our employees are allowed, our athletes are allowed to stick around and like be with the team with their grades up, keeping that up, like that's all they care about.
mhm.
So yeah, it's perks, but at the end of the day, yeah, like you are still giving someone's time, and last time I checked, time is money.
Oh, it definitely is. And if that's what, and like I said, these athletes are what's generating the attraction to the school. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
SEC.
It's like
Every SEC school is going to make like $50 million with this new ESPN deal, you know. And I know Oregon, they'll spend about 50-60 million dollars on a new locker room. So it's like this idea that the money's not there either is ridiculous. Like, yeah, determining how much
that's
you're going to pay is a little different. That's
mhm,
where it gets tricky, because it's like, all right,
mhm.
should you pay the starting, like, this is assuming schools drop the dime on this, which the NIL stuff makes it so it's a free market where it's like, all right, the starting quarterback's probably going to have a little more endorsement deals than the third string, you know but like once
Yeah,
that third string guy starts getting playing time in a couple of years, he'll probably get what's coming to him, or he'll transfer, whatever.
exactly. Exactly. Um I definitely think that, like I said, there should be some sort of like system bi-weekly payment, you know what I mean, type of thing
Mm-hmm.
going on because like I said, the college athletes bring so much value to the school, and after they leave, I mean, what do they don't get anything back. You know what I mean? They do. I mean, again, like I said, you get there's I'm not it's not nothing. You get perks, you get the scholarship and all that. And these things are great.
But they
But
can always take that away, though. That's also the other
that's another
side of
thing.
it. Is
Right.
like when you sign back, back when you were around and everyone before that, when you sign the scholarship, like you're giving your name, image, and likeness away. That's all that. It's like it's
Mm-hmm.
a contract. It's literally a
Mm-hmm.
contract. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just like, all right, like professional athletes have contract, and I have this scholarship contract. Like, where's mine?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So college athletes, man,
Good
out
for them
here, we are definitely endorsing for you guys to get paid, man. So yeah, man. Next topic. What's been your biggest adjustment between college and
now.
adult life?
Man, when seeing those bills, that's the one, man. There's different bills, and just trying to be on top of everything, because it's similar to college, where like the difference between high school and college is like, all right, your parents aren't around. Like they're not on
Yeah.
you about doing your homework. They're not on you about studying. It's kind of like sink or swim. And
What
this
time
is
you need to
like,
be back?
what's that?
What time you need to be back at home or
Exactly.
like back at, you know what I
Exactly.
mean? Yeah.
You are on your own, and it's like that even
Right.
more adult life, where you have to kind of figure it out on your own. Like you have to be in like sink or swim mode. You have to figure out and be self-aware about, hey, do I need to step it up on my end, or am I good with the effort I'm putting in at my job, or and just like looking for a job, like is my resume right? Am I doing all the right things? Do I need to learn more skills? Do I need to you know have a bigger reel for my next job application, like all this other stuff. But yeah, but the biggest thing is just being on top of stuff, and like on top of yourself more than anything, and constantly having like, all right, how do I get to that next step at my next job, or how do I get to that next step, or and for some people, how do I get this job in general? Like that's kind of like when we were talking about earlier in the show, just dipping back into like your network of friends, like how can you use them in like a positive way, right?
Yeah.
Like you have a friend who's like a doctor or whatever, and like, they're like, you have like a medical question, just like little things like that. And, just kind of dipping into your network, where Like I knew people that I worked with at Big Ten Network that ended up going to ESPN. That's how I got to ESPN. Just like little things like that, and just
Mm-hmm.
understanding network's going to help you get to that next level. Then it's kind of like on you to pay it forward, you know. But to
Yeah.
answer your question, it's just to sum it up is just being on top of yourself.
Oh yeah. I think that's that's pretty much number one. Being on top of yourself is major key. Now, uh, nobody. I mean, your parents can help you, but like nobody's responsible for you no more. Like
Yeah.
at all. You know what I mean? Like your parents, they can help you, but they're not really responsible for you and where you go with your life and how things turn out. You know what I mean? They're not responsible no more.
Yep.
But like I said, they can help you, your parents, you know, to add, I think management of time, of one's own
Yep.
time, how one, one chooses to use their time, what one chooses to do with their time and stuff like that, and making sure that you're using your time wisely. I remember in college, man, idle time was just we idle time forever, man. We used to spend hours in freaking Acres lobby just sitting there just talking and BSing around, you know what I mean, or just being in the caf for hours just talking, you know what I mean. You really like there's no time for that at the next level, you know what I mean. Like you can't just it's time to talk obviously, but just to kind of just have idle time to just kind of BS around.
And
That's
honestly, like what separates like college to like adulthood, just like the different paths you're on. Where like some people they want to like start a family and everything right off the rip. You know, they get
yeah.
that stable job right away. They work it for a few years, propose to their fiance, all that stuff. Where like every race is different, man. Like everyone has
Mm-hmm.
different like everyone's end goal is different. Some people want kids, some people don't. Some people want marriage, some people don't. So it's just like navigating all that and all these other things. Like where do you want to live when you're
Mm-hmm.
older? What
Yeah.
what's your end goal with your career? Like do you want to be in management? Do you want to still do XYZ? Like, that's the thing that really separates people the older you get is like your like personal path of things,
Yep.
like
Exactly.
ultimate like life goals.
Yeah. Yeah. Where you want to go, honestly. You know what I mean? And that really becomes the thing. Like essentially creating your own life plan in terms of what you want to do, where you want to go, what you want to do with your life. You know what I mean? That's pretty much what it comes down to. You know what I mean? What exactly you want to do and achieve with your life. Um, Also, in terms of an adjustment between the two, obviously, how you make your living. Maybe you have to now make a living for yourself. You know,
Yeah.
um, on the college level, you had potentially maybe parents might have been throwing you money or something, or you kind of had like some little slight job, but that you were just trying to have into. But now you have to really make a living for yourself. You know what I mean? Financially, you have to uh, be able to be responsible for where your money goes to in terms of uh, bills and stuff like that, managing your bills and managing the money that you have. Because to be honest, it's really the real thing is like, what do you do with the money that you have after you pay your bills and all that? That's really the main, you know what I mean? That really makes the difference in my opinion. So,
No, I think
uh,
that's probably spot on too. Like, that's where your passions are. That's where, if you want to
exactly.
go out or whatever, all these different things. Yeah. And I think that's
Yeah.
what people do with their money is like once all the bills are paid, it's like, all right, we gotta go on vacation. Are we gonna save up for this nice TV? Are we gonna
Yeah.
remodel the floor? Like everything. Everything.
Yeah. Exactly. So, you know, that becomes a major adjustment because I know for myself, um, I didn't have to worry about that per se. You know what I mean? How am I gonna make a living for myself? You know what I'm saying? And how is and just having it to where I know for myself, um, I just try to like there's an industry and business for everything. And
100%.
so it's like you just really just have to find how you make money doing it. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? And if you can do that, then you really won the game. You know what I mean? Like there's people who have figured out ways to make money making music or basketball or playing basketball or this. You know what I mean? You just
Yeah.
gotta find your way, and there's multiple ways. You know what I'm saying? For what you do, I just think that the main key is figuring out how you can make money doing it, because that's just the name of the game in the system we live in. You know, you just gotta make money off it. You know what I mean? Like people will always think an artist is broke if he doesn't make money off of his art. You know what I mean? Even though his art may be good, you know what I mean? Like people be like, "Oh, you're is it really worth?" You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
it's just we'll consider generally most people will consider the artists who make the most money off of their art the best artists, right?
Yeah.
Generally,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but like if you can make money off of your art, then you know what I mean. Then that's the win. You know what I mean?
If it's easy, like if it's easy for you, if you can make the money for something that you're good at and knowledgeable about,
Yeah, yeah.
that's makes it way easier.
Uh huh.
Way.
Yeah, big time. So, um, yeah, man. I just think it's important to be uh, creative in the ways you want to make your living, man. And you getting the adult, the adult stage of your life. You got to make the decisions of how you want to get paid. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? What do you want to do to get? What do you want to do to get paid? And how you want to make your living. So yeah, next topic. Uh, how can we improve the corporate system?
This is a short answer, but just pay people more. That's it. Like that's you're gonna get more loyalty. No pizza party. None of that's gonna make your employees happy. Like you gotta pay them, like straight up. Especially like once they've
the
proven
money,
that
the
they have
money.
value. Like yeah, obviously just don't give someone a lot of money just because they're hired. But like if you see an employee who like works hard and is seems to be loyal to your company, like show them the love. Like if you don't
Yeah.
want someone leaking stuff about your company or you want someone to like give you that extra, you got to give them extra too. You got to show like I've never worked in management, but I trust managers. Like my philosophy on management is like a manager should ask you to do things that you would do yourself. That to me is like respect, right? Like don't have me like do all the stuff you wouldn't do if you were in my position,
Yeah.
that you feel
Yeah.
like you're better than. Like do
Right.
keep keep it where like you're not asking me to do more than what I should be doing. Like that's probably my way of explaining it, but to simply answer your question is like yeah, you got to pay people. You have to pay your good
Pay
employees
people
more
more.
to keep them around. And obviously there's no salary cap in life and there's no salary cap at the corporate level, so it's like you can pay people. They're not going to leave your
Hmm.
company if they're happy. It's that simple.
You know, definitely increasing payment is always great. Uh, I think that what there should be more of an emphasis on how employees get treated. I think a lot of times, when it comes to companies and businesses, it's like people just are very expendable when it comes to workers and employees and stuff. And yes, I understand. Yes, it's a business, and we have new customers, but like new employees. But same time, you're working with them. They're your partners, and you should be trying to make their working at your company as comfortable and as enjoyable as possible. You know what I mean? And make them feel as comfortable as possible to want to work with you and them to put uh, give you their time. You know what I mean? And I believe when people as an employee see that you're doing that, they'll go the extra mile for you. You know what I mean? In terms of their work. When they see that you're treating them well, you're respecting them, and you all that kind of stuff, they'll go the extra mile for you. You know what I mean? And they'll enjoy being there. Um, I think there should be more emphasis, like employees should have more autonomy on their job. I think if you give people more autonomy, a little bit more freedom, more almost just feel like in some sense they have like they're their own boss in their own position. Obviously, they're
Mm-hmm.
not the boss or whatever, but in their position, again, it'll make people feel more comfortable. It'll make people want to do their job and do their thing and all that. You know what I'm saying? Also, uh, I think a lot of times I see like in a lot of companies where managers over micromanage their employees and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Just over micromanaging that can be a bit um, uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying for people when they're just over. It's just every little thing is like they feel like they're the manager's gonna be on top of them or something like that. Um, and then meetings and stuff. Like I think meetings a lot of times I think companies spend wasteful time and energy and like where their meetings aren't like straight to the point and crisp. You know what I mean? It kind of like there's a lot of
Yeah, just the
side talking and
cliche. Yeah, the cliche of just like this could be an email. Like I can reach
yeah,
this meeting. I
you know
don't
what I
need
mean.
to
This could be
like.
yeah, exactly. This could have
Yeah,
just been an
'cause we
email
all get
text,
email. We all get stuff. But yeah, I think we're on the same page though. Just pay people more and like kind of trim
Yeah,
some
man.
time.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Um, so the next topic, um, what do you miss most about MSU?
Whew. Like probably like the social aspect because when you're like that's also an adjustment too with going to the adult life is like your social circle is way different than it was in college where you have access to
Yeah.
40,000 people at MSU, like that you could potentially be
Mm-hmm.
friends with, like you don't have that at the
Yeah.
corporate level. You don't have that
No.
like yeah, you might still hang out with some of your MSU people, but you don't have access to
Yeah.
a new pool of friends like you do at MSU
Not
where
at
like
all.
your friends freshman year could be different from the ones at sophomore year, or you could just add more friends sophomore year than you did freshman year. So I would just say like the social aspect of, you know, just meeting, having that opportunity just to meet like someone with a crazy background again, like to meet
100%.
someone who's Nigerian or something, or like getting to know like a Chinese student again, like there's nothing that really like beats that because most kids, for me, it was definitely like a cultural, not shock, you know,
Like,
but it's just different because
Hmm.
all those different amount of people in one area at once is just a lot for some people. Where like me, I'm just like, hey,
Hmm.
I've grown up in
This is
Michigan my entire life. Like I have no idea what it's like in Nigeria. I have no idea what it's like in Ghana. I have no what idea what it's like in China or Korea, you know. So like learning about that stuff is always like cool to me where I can go on about what Michigan's like, but I lived it where you meet someone,
hmm
you know, from another country or just another part of America, like you're still gonna learn something. I would say that's what I miss most is just like the positive culture shock of a college campus where I love that stuff, like learning about other people's like upbringing
hmm
and things like that.
hmm Yeah. To piggyback off what you're saying in terms of like the social circles and stuff, that's a major thing I miss. Just literally at the front of your door, you know what I'm saying, or outside of your door, you have tons of people that you can just interact with and talk to your
Yeah,
age that you guys can connect and relate on and stuff of that nature. An
exactly.
adult, life, that is not available. You know what I'm
You have
saying?
no idea what that person's interests are right off the bat, you know. But like
Yeah.
in college, they're wearing a Green Bay Packers shirt, and you can talk football with them right off the bat,
hmm
or you know they're going to the MSU basketball games, so you know you can talk about the zone or whatever, or buy a ticket off of someone, you know, like just like
hmm
that. Like you're all are on the same page. You all are going through the same grind. You know, you guys have the
Yeah.
same time on your hands. So yeah, that makes it way more relatable than just a stranger at your corporate job or job
Yeah.
in
Or just
general.
outside
Yeah,
that you see, you know what I mean? Because like you said, especially with us, it was a college town and everything, like everybody was Michigan State. Now you go out, public, you really have no idea what background this person is. You know what I mean? You have
yeah,
literally no idea. You know what I'm saying? And so you don't even really may not even know where to start in terms of opening a conversation or you know what I mean, having a dialogue or anything like that. And then you know, like you said, there's fewer opportunities to just socialize. You know what I mean? Because it's always work time, and you spend most of your time at work, and then you gotta go to sleep, and then it's essentially where you have 8 hours, 8 hour window of free time, so to speak, of what you know what I mean, and that and there's like for myself, there's really no place to like meet people
mm-hmm.
per se and actually have real dialogue conversations and stuff like that. Um, you know, people love to go to the club and stuff like that and the bar, but again, music's blasting and stuff like that. You really can't really have a real dialogue. You gotta speak out of your voice, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? And I don't really like to go,
yeah,
yell and stuff like that to people just to say a regular statement. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like
I like this
yeah,
song.
like you know what I mean? Like that's just not me, you know what I mean? And then on top of that, a lot of times the wonderful thing about college is you have people around your age. You know what I'm saying? So they can connect and relate to what's going on in your life. Now, you get to the more adult, you don't really have like you're dealing with 50-year-olds and 60, a 60-year-old, you're coming across them more times and often. And maybe this 30 something, 40, or this person, people from all
Yep.
ages. There's no longer that 4 year window. You know what I'm saying? And so it's a major adjustment to your point. To add on that, uh, tailgating, which is
Oh.
to your point more about just socializing. I just miss the social aspect and just talking and people coming together and having fun and just enjoying themselves. I really miss that a lot, especially our tailgates was really dope.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
Tailgates was super dope. So next topic. what's been the biggest difference in broadcasting between college and ESPN?
It's probably the same gap of college athletics to professional athletics. Like there there's room for mistakes, but your mistakes can't be big, man. Like you'll get exposed fast, and like that's but it is kind of a barometer as to what your skill level is too. You kind of know where you stand. You're like, all right, if you're good at this or this is like something you can do for a living pretty quickly. And I knew that right away. Like when I was at ESPN, I was holding it down for myself. So like I knew right away, I was like, all right, like I can do this. And honestly, like the stakes are higher and the expectate like everything is just magnified, man. Like I remember like I had to work the day Kobe died. Like he died 15 minutes before our show was about to go on air. Like we were going to talk about the Pro Bowl and all this other. There wasn't anything going on. Then Kobe dies. Then all right, I'm calling all these coaches. I'm calling Jim Boeheim, Coach K, Rick Fox. We called Shaq, Jalen Rose. Like we're getting rid of. We're trying to get all these guys to share moments about Kobe. And we're like that's not going to be as magnetized or what's the word I'm looking for? Um, it's not going to be as like zoomed in as much at like the local level, but like at national level at ESPN, like we got to talk about everything. Like yeah,
Hmm.
the TV people talk about certain things more than others, but everything's just magnified. Like the attention to detail has to be there. Like you can't be making the same mistake twice, or you'll get
Hmm.
your role will change, man. Like they'll put you on the bench. Like you gotta be on top of everything. And I learned quickly
Hmm.
like the benefits of limiting your mistakes and being good at what you do. Like there's positives to it and there's like some negatives to it, but the big difference is you got to be on top of your stuff. You can't like yeah, the my bads and all that stuff work in college, but that does not work at the professional level. You only have so many of those.
It
But
sounds like there's just very little room for error.
yes, and I
Very, very little.
same with athletics, man. Like you can't be throwing interceptions a lot. You're gonna ride the oak. So,
Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah.
but yeah, that's the biggest difference, man. It's just the margins, man. You can't operate as loosely as you think you can.
And that's from a management like kind of like how you're managed, or
Both. It's like
just
because
how
like you
you
feel the
how,
expectations too, because you want to be better than the next guy. Like you want to prove that you can be counted on by management, but you also want to like prove yourself to your peers too. Be like, hey, like when I'm in this control room, like know that I'll do work. Know that I can be trusted. Know that that I'm putting in the right amount of effort all the time, and that like I said, like you don't make mistakes because like working in radio, people hear your mistakes, and that's not something you want to hear is your mistakes, especially when it's your mistakes. You know, like
Mhm.
I can say with pride that the amount of major mistakes I made there was pretty small. But like I said before,
That's
it's
good.
magnified because everyone hears it. Where like, yeah, someone at home with regular ears may not know it's a mistake, but I know it's a mistake, and everyone around me knows it's a mistake. So it's just like you feel the shame and everything, but like you just don't want to feel that shame again. So it kind of lights a fire under your ass to double check something, triple check something. So you just don't, it's like this pressure to be perfect, but sometimes it shapes you, to be on top of your
Hmm.
game.
Yeah, man. But you know, sometimes those mistakes, not even sometimes, those mistakes should lead to better, if to improvement. You know what I mean? I think, um, you know, if, you can't get better without making mistakes, because making the mistakes shows that you don't know something, and that you need to learn it and add it to what you already know. So now you're better.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You
Yep.
couldn't have been better without that mistake. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
The problem is when you make the mistake and you make the mistake again and you do it again and again. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like now it's just like you got to get the hell
Yep.
out of here. You
Yep.
know,
Exactly.
but
Exactly. And like I feel like I didn't make a lot of mistakes. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna stick around then, and
yeah,
just something
yeah,
I've
yeah,
learned in life, and
yeah,
kind of like what you said, is it's about wins and lessons, man. It's not wins and
yeah,
losses.
yeah, yeah.
Lessons.
Wins and lessons. Yeah, exactly. That's a very good way to put it. Wins and lessons, not losses. You know, it only becomes losses when you just don't learn, man. So
Exactly. That's when it's a loss. That's when it's lost.
yeah, yeah, that's when it's just lost, man. So next topic: would you had rather experience undergrad at MSU or somewhere else?
Now we can skip this question. I wouldn't change anything about MSU. Like it was the perfect and epic epicenter of like culture, good athletic programs, good academic programs, and
Yeah.
just like the amount of different people you meet. I feel like I wasn't going to get
Hmm.
that at Western. I wasn't going to get that at Central. May have gotten that at Michigan. I know they're a pretty like diverse school. Um, Maybe Eastern, but MSU, I think they have the biggest enrollment of international students. So it's one of one, honestly. So I probably would have flunked out if I would have went anywhere else. So just because it was far
Yeah,
enough
yeah.
away from home, but close enough where I could drive if I needed to go home. So
Hmm. That's
I didn't
good.
really go home that much. So yeah, but
Hmm.
it was MSU or bust, and looking back, it was there was no other way to put it because it worked out perfectly for me.
Exactly. Same thing here for me, man. I would have, if I had right now, if it hypothetically was like you have to go back to college, I'd be like, I'm going to go back to Michigan
MSU,
State.
MSU, nice,
I'll do the system over again, man, and just do it better. You know what I mean? But
exactly.
yeah, 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 yeah. I would have went back to I would have went to Michigan State, man. Just the experiences, just the like you said, the diversity of the school in terms of like the cultures, the people, the nationalities was great. I really felt like I got the college experience in terms like when I would grow up and like see TV and like see how they were living and stuff, like how the college
Yeah,
was, you know what I mean, and how things were done. I felt like I got that at Michigan State. So, yeah, Michigan State, um, great, best college in the country, man, if not the world. So,
that's
uh,
right.
yeah, yeah, man. And then the college aspect, that the whole college atmosphere, and the college game day and how things was, you know, not many, most schools don't get that kind of stuff.
No, no,
College
well,
game
we were
day and all
blessed.
that kind of
We were
stuff,
we
and
were
the
blessed.
broad, yeah.
Like we had the best of the
So
best. Like we had a Final
yeah,
Four run. We went to the college football playoff game. Like, yeah, we got beat in
yeah,
both of them. But it's like most schools, if one of their programs does that, like it's a
yeah,
win. And we had two. We had our
yeah,
football and our basketball
yeah.
program was good, and our soccer team was good. Like every program had like one of its best years while we were there. Like
Oh
all of
yeah,
our athletic.
specifically during the timeline we were there, it was definitely one of the more successful times for MSU. Like you said, with us making the top four for the college football. We did that. We
The
went to the
Rose
Final
Bowl,
Four,
we had the Rose Bowl win. That was
Rose Bowl, Sweet 16, and all that. So it was very celebratory while we were there, man, and we enjoyed it. I remember how what's the name of that street where
where they burned.
everybody used to come burn the couch down. What was the
Yeah,
name of that street? I forget the name of
I
that
can't.
street.
I know, like
Uh,
thinking about that.
yeah, but we know what
Yeah,
we're talking
yeah,
about.
we know what
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
talking about. Yeah,
We You know what we're talking about. But
Yeah, we're talking
that yeah. You know, those kind of things. I remember it was one year they had like burnt the couch down, and like people was it was like people
people got
showing
arrested.
the titties and yeah, like
Yeah,
it was
people
that was
like they
the
had
I think that
like
was the
a
Rose Bowl
full,
game.
yeah, they had a full blown like investigation because I went to Indianapolis to watch one of the Big Ten title games, and I was getting pictures from my friends of all like
Yeah,
the fires pulling out street signs and shit. Like,
yeah.
you go
Oh
to
man,
jail anywhere else doing that. So yeah, no,
great
like
times,
to
man.
simplify it, yeah,
The
like I
parties,
there's it's you, man. Yeah, the parties were
yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Like there's something for everybody, always.
Man, man. And MSU had a lot of beautiful women. I can say that. There's a lot of
I
beautiful women at Michigan State.
I concur. We had the entire like spectrum, I feel like.
Yeah. All nationality. There's a lot of
Yeah.
beautiful. Kudos to and shout out to the MSU women.
Yes.
And men. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody.
Yeah, shout out
But
to
yeah.
MSU. They're getting a lot of
Next
publicity
topic.
on them.
Yeah. Next next topic. The final topic. Something that I think we both definitely have a major liking to. What is your favorite Air Jordan one?
Oof. Obviously, so I used to be like all Air Jordan 1s, like I feel like that's typical of white people, but like the older I've gotten, like I think the 11s are like the greatest Jordan ever made. And I think the
Okay.
Space Jams, like I have a pair of Jubilees back there, but nothing
Okay.
beats the Space Jam. Nothing beats the Space Jam. And
Okay.
uh the not the gray 11s, but the North Carolina blue 11s. I like those ones. Um, but yeah, my favorite Air Jordan 1 is probably just the Chicago colorway. Like you can't go wrong with
In
it.
Chicago.
Yeah, and
Cannon
the
all.
yeah the I think it's the black toe. I think it's one with the black toe. That one I
Okay.
enjoy, and I don't know because like it kind of varies because like some days like I like the fours or the fives or whatever, but like the older I've gotten, it's probably 11s. Not that I don't like the ones anymore, but they're like the pine green.
Yeah. Just
Like I like the pine green colorway, but I don't like all the colorways of the one.
okay. 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 Yeah.
But like
I'm
there's
a big fan of
go on.
I'm a big fan of the 11s, especially the Concords. Those are my favorite of the 11s colorway.
Yeah, the Concords, like everyone loves those, and like
Yeah.
there's a lot of colorways of foam posits that I like too. Like I like some
Mm.
like the Yeezy foam posits, like those ones looked sweet. I think it was like the Doctor Doom ones are like white and black. Those ones I didn't mind. But I don't know. But there are like some terrible colorways with foam posits, like the lava lamp looking ones. I don't really care for those. Uh, but it's different now. Like sneakers are way different. Where I think people now really, besides like Jordans, like signature shoes, people really only like the KDs and the Kyries. That's what I've
Mm.
that's what I've gathered. I could be wrong, but I don't think anyone's
Hmm.
buying like LeBron shoes the way they're buying those three. And I know LeBron,
Hmm.
obviously, he's worthy of a signature sneaker. There's no debating that. And the Kobe's, obviously, the people love the Kobe's too. The Kobe's were like the low top Kobe's, um, all that stuff. But yeah, like shoes are way different now. Where you got guys wearing them wearing different shoes every quarter, like PJ Tucker. Like that guy
Yeah.
he's like the ultimate sneakerhead. He's got shoes before like anyone. He's really
Yeah.
like
He got some.
sneaker insider guy. Like he had like Carmelo shoes before Carmelo had them. Like it's crazy. It's crazy. Like, but like shoes in the NBA are just different because like everyone wears crazy colors now. Like before, it was like white, black, and whatever color your team was, and now you got guys just
Hmm.
wearing pink shoes, yellow shoes, neon green shoes. And even like the college level, like they're a little more lenient about that stuff.
Hmm. I think with like the Kyries and the KDs, I think a lot of times when it comes to these like the pro athletes in the modern time and their shoes, they're more so worn for like hoop, like for basketball, not necessarily like casual, like with the Air Jordans. Like
Yes.
people would wear the Air Jordans for hoop, obviously, but they're more so also like casual. You know what I mean? I don't think
Yeah.
really nowadays like most athletes have like like casual like their shoes that they make that are like their basketball shoe is like casual. They do like nonetheless they I've seen some sick shoes though, but they're just good for hoop. You know what I mean? Like I have a pair of Kyrie's, but I just use them for hoop though. You know what I mean? Like, I just wear them for
Okay.
hoop.
Yeah, like I have a
Yeah, yeah,
pair
yeah.
of Paul Georges. I like those ones. Those I feel like the Paul Georges,
Okay.
those ones are different like a decent balance of like, yeah, you can hoop in them, but they also look all right. Like they
Okay.
can come off as like casual. Like I've
Okay.
honestly I've only like shot baskets in them, uh but yeah, like there's certain shoes that kind of can do both. Like and like you said,
Yeah. Yeah.
they
Yeah.
look good when you hoop too. Where I don't know anyone that's hooping in some Jordan ones right now. I don't even know how Jordan did it. Because there's no way they had like the support of like a Kyrie shoe or a KD. Like
Yeah.
and watching them when they
Hmm.
hooped in Converses, man, like that must have hurt your feet.
Yeah.
Like, no one's hooping
Must
in.
have tore their ankles. Them ankles must have been torn up.
Yeah. Like there's no way I'd want to do that.
Yeah. 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 Nah, but to answer the question for me specifically, mine's is the breads, the bread ones, the red and black ones.
Yeah, I've always wanted the bread ones, but with the X on the back. Like
The
those are
band, the band,
yes,
the
yes,
band bread one. Yeah,
yeah. Like because I
yeah.
know
Those are the ones that the
it
Jordan
kind of
had.
like everything. Yeah, because that's the fines and stuff came, and and I think Nike paid all the
Hmm.
fines.
Yeah.
It's because it's crazy.
Hmm.
Like obviously, it made his rise to the top sneaker like it's like because no one's gonna outsell Jordan sneakers. Like that's just a fact, you know. Um, but I feel like it made it easier for that rise to the top of the sneaker game because he was good too. And even if he was like a
Hmm.
shitty hooper, they probably still would have sold a shit ton of Air Jordan ones, twos, or whatever. Like even if Jordan's
Yeah,
career
yeah,
didn't,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, we may have not have seen the 11, but we would have definitely. It definitely makes it easier that he was good.
Great.
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah. It was a
I
perfect
think
investment for Nike.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It just worked out
I
perfectly for him.
Yeah, yeah. I think what also makes the Air Jordan so special is especially from like when you talk about from like 1 to 11. No, really 1 to 14. I mean, maybe 1 to 14. There's like a significance for each shoe,
Yeah,
like in
is the
terms of
14?
Michael Jordan's actual career.
Yeah, because I know he paired. I think it was the 14, or maybe it's the 13, the one with the little, like the little like green jewel, because that was like a partnership with like Ferrari or something. That was like the inspiration behind it. Like there's a lot. Like
Hmm.
each one has like its own inspiration. I know one of them is based off like an airplane or something. Like
Okay.
I'll have to like look back, but there's like a marketing influence to them as well. And I think one of them was a movie that came out that he like partnered in. Obviously, like the Space Jams, like things like
Mm-hmm.
that. Like there's like significance to each
Significance. Yeah,
design.
man.
Yeah, like
Each
design.
yeah, yeah. And so that's what I feel like adds to the iconic aspect of Michael Jordan. And I think that's what to me is that's what really separates Jordan. Just those obviously the sneaker is great, but like I said, the significance and the meaning behind the shoe in his career is what really makes it so iconic. And like for like the bread ones, what I liked about them, like I think I like the colorway. The colorway is dope. I love red and black together. That's always kind of like
Yeah.
a good color scheme from that I like. And then like I like the fact that it almost seems like those you can wear very in a very versatile way, like with like jeans or like shorts or maybe even dress pants or some or joggers or whatever. Like it
Yeah,
kind of
like
has like
that's
a verse.
so it's funny you bring that up about like the amount of guys at ESPN that were on TV that would just wear J's with suits, like
Mm-hmm.
it's insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
That like that's
So.
kind of been that's almost like the norm now is like sneaker culture. Because I remember there wasn't a lot of people that knew about really sneakers until I was like
Mm-hmm.
older. Like I knew people collected sneakers, but I didn't realize like how big it was until like after I graduated college. Because it kind of I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it's kind of almost this makes me sound like an asshole, but like I feel like it's almost like kind of too mainstream now. Like before, it was kind of like a
Mm-hmm.
club of people that just collected sneakers. But now
Yeah.
like
A cult.
everyone thinks, yeah, now everyone thinks like every sneaker is hot, and it's just like that's not no, that's not how it is.
And
Like not
everybody thinks they're a
every
sneakerhead.
yeah, it's like I wouldn't even consider myself a sneakerhead. Like I'm a casual, if anything. Like where like I always
Yeah.
look what's out there. Like I have a short list of sneakers that I want, and if I can get them, like I'll try and get them. But I don't just buy and stack or anything. Like I have friends that did, and but I don't know. I just feel like now it's just not the same. It's like so saturated now where,
Oh
just
yeah.
where like the dunk low phenomenon from like a couple of years ago, like everyone like the pandas are like the most overrated shoe like ever. I feel like in the past 5 years, it's like the most overrated shoe. Like, yeah, I get like you can do cool colorways because I know they had the chunky ones that Ben and Jerry's one. Like I thought that's a unique
Mm-hmm.
idea, but it's not for me. I'm not gonna wear that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not gonna pay $1,000
Mm-hmm.
for them either, just to flip them either. Like it just doesn't seem. It seems like that's like everyone's goal now is just to find a sneaker to flip as opposed just to find a sneaker to wear. And like that's the
Yeah.
problem is when people
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
a
Yeah. Yeah.
business for sneaker collecting, but some too many people made it like a business. So
Yeah.
like when you're on like the goat or like stock X, or it's just like, all right, you're just buying these because you don't want to wear them. Like I want to wear them,
Yeah.
like I don't want to
Yeah.
mess them up, but I want to wear them.
Yeah. But that comes in the fact that some people are just looking, like you said, just to profit or off of the sneaker or whatever. Not like you said, wear it and really rock it. There's so much hype behind, to your point, sneakers now. You know what I mean? And it kind of makes it a bit saturated and kind of not as authentic in terms of people actually wanting the sneaker. It's now for, like you
Yeah,
said, people just
and I
buying
laugh.
it to just flip it.
Yeah, and I laugh at those people that buy out the whole stock and it goes dead.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
pray on the downfall of those people because it's like just let people have the sneakers. Like the no one's ever. I just feel like some of the hype is like manufactured, where it's not actual hype. You know,
Oh
they just
yeah,
they
most
just
definitely.
it's
And
what's
social
hot.
media.
Yeah.
social media definitely add to that hype. You know what I
Totally.
mean?
Let's just add 3 fire emojis to this regular looking sneaker, to try and boost its sales or whatever. Like, I'm not really into that. I'm not really into that.
Yeah. But yeah, man. Air Jordans, man. And there's forever gonna be iconic, especially the ones. Those are always gonna
Yeah,
be
I'm curious what that's
iconic
going to be
for
like
sure.
in 20 years, like 20, 25 years. Like what the sneaker culture is going to be. Like obviously we'll probably always have Jordans unless like Nike goes under or something, but I don't
I mean,
see
I
it
just
happening.
I just don't think at this point, like, the Jordan's a staple for like culture
Yeah,
for the rest of life. As we like moving for like I said, just
exactly.
the
Kind of like what you
iconic,
said. Like the 1 through 14, like
yeah,
those
yeah,
are
yeah.
always
Those are always
gonna
gonna be
sell.
a
Those are
staple.
always
You
going
know
to
what I mean?
sell. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Those will always be a staple for the culture. You know what I mean? And so, um, I just don't think that um, the Jordan brand will ever go anyways. In terms of the what they call Team Jordan and stuff like that. You
The
know,
jump man.
those are always gonna be, the jump man. Those are always gonna be but the 1 through 14 is always gonna be a
Yeah.
staple.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
like the
it's
polo. It's like the people, have like the Ralph Lauren, and you got the polo assassin or whatever. Like,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
like
It's
it's
it it
Jordan.
is it's yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. It'll be it'll be interesting to see if what's the next brand that kind of comes to the forefront. Especially when it comes to sneakers. I mean, I don't think we've had anybody really come to the forefront of things. I may be outside of Yeezy at a point in time.
yeah,
Before
that's
certain
probably that's
things
actually a good
publicly.
point. That's actually a good
Yeah,
point
was
because like his involvement like with fashion and everything and just like his popularity as an artist, like
yeah.
I feel like that's probably like the way in because no, I don't even know who's second place in sneaker sales. Like when it comes to signature sneakers from athletes, not like Kanye or anything, but
Hmm.
it's got to be either what like Bron, Kyrie, or KD. Like one of those three are probably
Kobe or
second.
something like that.
Oh yeah, Kobe.
Yeah.
Probably Kobe. Yeah, Kobe's probably would probably be like number two, where people actually liked his shoe. But like these new guys, like I'm not buying Curry threes or anything. Like I'm not gonna buy Zion shoes. Like Giannis's shoe looks okay, but that's for someone who's built like Giannis. Like that,
Mm.
that's I don't think those shoes. I think they're though that's more of like the hoop shoe. Like that's not a shoe you just wear. And kind of like we piggyback what you talk about. That's like the greatness of the Jordan shoes is like you can do both in them. Like yeah, I wouldn't suggest hooping in some ones, but you can definitely pair them with anything clothes wise.
Hmm. 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 Yeah. Yeezy with the Adidas collaboration is probably the biggest collaboration between, I guess, how can you say,
Just a signature shoe.
a
Like it's an
art?
iconic it's an iconic signature shoe where like people know what a Jordan looks like. People know what a Yeezy looks like. And yeah, you
Yeah.
might but the average person, they're not going to know what a Zion shoe looks like. They're not going to know what the Lucas shoe looks like or the Dame Lillard one. Like they're not going to
Yeah.
know those. They might know the KD and the Kyrie because like their initials are on the shoe, but even then, like
Those are younger. Hmm.
yeah, like
Those
it's
are
still
younger players, though. They still have time. They
exactly.
still
But
have
like even
time.
then, but there's so many shoes out there, and like none of them have kind of taken that second spot except for Kanye, really, with the Yeezys. Like everyone wore
Hmm.
Yeezys.
Yeah.
They had the same appeal as a Jordan. as like a,
Yeah.
because I know
Yeah.
you have experience waiting in line for Jordans. That's what people are doing for Yeezys.
Oh yeah. Most definitely. So it'll be interesting, man, to see what the next who comes to the forefront in terms of uh, sneakers. We've seen people who aren't sport related, obviously like a Kanye, do his thing and make us a major splash in footwear and stuff like that. And so it's going to be interesting to see who the next person will come and really make a super impact in footwear. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
man. Yeah, man. So
Is that all we got
yeah,
today?
man. That should. Yep, 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 yep. It's the outro, man. Enjoy your time spent, man.
I
Talking
appreciate it.
about the different topics we talked about, man. I really appreciate your perspective and giving your own peace of mind with the topics, man. You have any last comments?
No, man, I appreciate you having me on, and I'm sure we'll talk. And obviously, like if you
No,
ever
for
need me to
sure.
hop on again, or if you feel like you need anything, any guidance, let me know, man. I'm always, like I said, just
Mm-hmm.
utilizing our network pool always.
For sure, man. Enjoyed you on the show today, man. Everybody, uh, wish you guys the best and take care.